And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Twitter review for the Dead Linger homepage. So, if you've never seen this before, essentially all I do is come to their main page and read and comment on their Twitter posts. That's it. I know it's exciting, right? Now, I missed last week, so we're going to do like two, essentially, kind of cover 2 weeks. That's it. So, let's just dive right in because there's a lot. So first, going all the way back to the 19th, that's about when my 2 weeks was there. They had just started actually to finish up their Comic Con. So this was the Salt Lake City Comic Con. They had just got done with PAX, and then they did Salt Lake City. Now, Salt Lake City Comic Con was important for them because that's where they actually had computers set up that were running a Build 14 work in progress. That's also important because I said I was pretty certain that they would be releasing some assets, or I was even hoping for Build 14 itself before the end of April. Well, it's May. So that didn't work out at all. I'm a little bit disappointed. So what that means is we're back on track for like a every 2 months we get a release. So I could go into why that's a pain, because with H1Z1 coming out, this game still has some great, unique sandboxy elements that make it feel like a real survival kind of game. And the roadmap is still really, really good. However, the game is really, really broke. And so for them to, every 2 months, I've purchased the game and I know the game's in alpha. I mean, we've had this conversation every time we do like a Twitter review or I play the game, but the thing that gives me hope is the fact that I've paid my $20, so I own it for here to eternity. So whether I play it once a week, once every 2 weeks, as those patches and stuff come out, I mean, I'm here watching the development of the game. So it's not a released game. And really, the only reason why I'm concerned about the 2 month release schedule is, not so much for me. I've got lots of games to play, but it's for the growth of the game. Because when you go to those Comic Cons and you sit them down and you say, here's what you're getting, sure, you're telling folks this is the alpha build and it's, this, that, and the other thing. It's just that when those people get excited and they come home and they go to Steam and they purchase the game and then they load it up and they're like, this looks nothing like what I played at the con, that's got to be disappointing to some degree. And that's why I thought, honestly, they would have some assets released shortly after the con. So it didn't turn out that way. So that does concern me from that point of view is how are you sucking in those new people after you get them hooked to the game and you show them the game that the rest of us have already been playing for a while and we're used to that. There hasn't been like a like a switcheroo or anything like that. So that's why the cons were important and why I hope they start releasing. They don't have to release the full Build 14. They had mentioned that they might do like a 13A, which they did as a hotfix, maybe a 13B where they introduce one other item. They don't need to wait for like one huge build. They can go ahead and maybe start incrementing some little releases. So, I wish them luck. Fingers crossed. Hope they come up with enough to keep folks interested every 2 months. All right, so to help you stay motivated, they did start. It's kind of like they I think they've nicknamed a screenshot Saturday, and they release like one or two screenshots. And so when Saturday rolled around, they throwed out a tree texture. So I don't know how much bigger I can blow this up. I think it's speed trees that they're going with, which seems to be, the thing to do. And the trees look so much better than what they currently have. What I don't know will happen is how you interact with those trees. Like if they still just shrink down into the world when you cut them down, or if they'll actually, timber and fall over. Either way, I think what's going to be a big improvement is how you walk past the trees and you won't get the storybook pop-up effects. They said that pretty much all the issues people were complaining about with trees are eliminated with these speed trees. So, even if they didn't look better, just the fact that they would behave properly would be a huge, huge bonus. So, let's see here. Trying to remember how to make this thing go back when I have to unfull screen it a second and spot back. Okay. So the trees are coming. And then that was also around the time of Easter. So this was cool. They put a picture of a zombie rabbit. And then that was more just a happy Easter kind of a thing. Apparently, we're not actually going to be getting zombie bunnies immediately. Although a more recent post shows that we might be getting bunnies at some point. So the zombie, bloody, infected rabbit was a cute thing, even if it's not going to be what we actually get. Aw, so sad. And then on the 20th, I think that was still Saturday. So survivors, this was just from the Deadlinger website. The Deadlinger minimum system specs have changed just a bit. You can check them out here. It's also right here on the front of the page. It says memory 6 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, so they've been talking about, lots of folks have been talking about performance issues, how the game runs slow, poor FPS, even though you're meeting the minimum system specs. So they said with the build 14 and like the speed trees and different things are coming out texturally wise should help improve the first person performance. Your not so much the first person, but your frames per second, your speed and your lag and things like that, because the textures are more optimized for the game client. But by raising the minimum memory requirements, you can also tell people, well, you just need to beef your machine to run it. Now you got to remember, these alpha requirements are not set in stone. These are things that they have to tweak continually to say, well, to get the best out of your game, you might want to have 6 gigabytes of RAM. Now, the nice thing is it doesn't block you out from playing with an older machine, because one of the posts they said, was we're changing that, but that doesn't mean if you were playing before and was happy with performance that all of a sudden you have to go and upgrade your machine. You can keep playing. So it's not like Call of Duty Ghosts where they put a lock on it, and when you try to fire it up the game with less than that memory, it says, no, you don't have enough memory. So anyone is still welcome to try and then tweak the game as best you can, but just be aware. It probably, until it is actually optimized more, probably going to be a big resource hog, which is why a lot of folks probably are having some performance issues, because it could just be a hardware issue. Not like trying to blame folks' computers, because I don't like that route. I don't like it when people say, well, just get a better machine. Well, they know they have to optimize their game. But when it's this early in development and you're using placehold textures and then you're slowly swapping out textures with new ones, you still have a lot of tweaking to do afterwards. I mean, look at like a fully released game like Battlefield 4 or Call of Duty Ghosts. When it came out, that was, I'm just calling those two games because those are probably the most big purchases I recently got. Even those said, well, we're doing performance tweaks. We still have to increase performance. So these guys this early in alpha still have a lot of optimizing to do. So just say, hey, to help in the early stages, more RAM will help. And then also on that Saturday, they were busy that Saturday. Then Jeff put out, like here is a link to the forum where it talked more specifically, like clarifications and understandings about the changes in the specs, which was just that, hey, this is what we recommend, but if you were playing before, you're still fine. And then also later on he put, look, I did an interview. This was a little YouTube thing at their booth at the Salt Lake City Comic Con. So it's cute, watch it. You get to see Jeff in action answer questions. Then Richard, this was on the 24th, so they had themselves I won't say they had themselves a nice long weekend, because they tweet in between. It just doesn't always get posted to the front page here. But then on the 24th to the main page, Richard put, they are rewriting terrain so we have our own shader and custom tessellation. So that's why I was saying those things are important, because a lot of folks, they say, hey, why are you working on graphics? How come you're not working on fixing broken gameplay? As odd as it sounds, you still have to work on terrain things like shaders and custom tessellations. All of these things have to be specific to your game. That's part of the optimization. Because a lot of times, my understanding of when you get like Unity, for instance, here's my understanding. A lot of times you can go buy assets, and those assets are programmed for Unity, but that doesn't mean it's optimized for how you have modified the Unity engine. And so you might have, say, some base graphics that come with Unity. That doesn't mean they're optimized. That just means those are graphical assets that you have purchased and you've stuck into your game. Because if you go to the Unity website, you're going to find all kinds of packages that you can get, but that doesn't mean that that is optimized. They might be able to take those textures and things, look at them and go, hey, you know what? If we tweak it this way, we've lowered the poly count, which lowers the texture size, which increases the performance. So these things still have to be done. That's why build 14 is real important for performance, is because they're optimizing those assets. Plus, it's going to make the game look better too, which will help, because we'll talk about that here in a bit. And then on build 14, talking about their view distance. Now, they've always had really good view distance. Let's see if we can blow this up a bit. They've always had a really good view distance. Now, what we see a problem here that I've had in the past, though, is the draw distance. As you can see, there are probably supposed to be trees out beyond, but you'd have to really increase your draw distance, which is a real hit on performance to try and pull all those trees in. In fact, that's sometimes how I navigate from landmark to landmark, is when I have the default view distance, I can see there's a prison. And when you get on the ground and start running towards said prison, it sometimes feels like it takes longer than it should, because now you're on the ground and the terrain is actually drawing in as you get to it, and then you're like, am I still going the right way? So that's something that you can tweak as an in-game setting. You just got to be careful, because that is a real big graphic hit. And you can see here, I think this is some of the new trees and some of the new ground texture, so it's not all just green. Plus they'll be putting grass and some shrubs and foliage. So they've always had a really good view distance, so I think it's just trying to show off what it looks like with some of their trees there. Then moving right up along, let's see here, when was this one? On the 25th, so a little bit later. It said today, more terrain triangle subdivision code. Now, I believe one of the things, I don't know if this pertains to that exactly, but I do remember that Richard was saying that they were looking on their improvements with the way that the ground is generated. And so, like with cities, they're not necessarily going to be as grid blocked as they are. They might have, like he said, like a more kind of natural appearance in the world. So everything's not so square and rigid. And this will also help with the land in general too. Like, I don't really know. Okay, terrain triangle subdivision code. He speaks codese. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But with the new placements of the homes, the other thing that they said they're working on is that the land underneath that building is going to be flat. So we're not going to see, a house that's built on the side of a hill where part of it is, hanging over the ledge and you could jump up through the bottom of the house. We're going to see homes that actually sit flat, buildings that sit flat. Well, with that, then whatever terrain triangle subdivision code, I think, because it says the word terrain, that's just still going into optimizing the procedurally generated world, which, trust me, is going to help a lot, because I still find on occasion the roads that shoot straight up into the air, just some of the goofy stuff I think is going to be improved on quite a bit with this next build. And then on the 25th, it said, Happy Friday, Survivor. So I think this must have been last Friday. So we passed through a week. Now we're catching up to the week that just happened. Just what are your weekend plans? Tweet and share. All right. So then on the 26th, so this was Saturday. So this here was the screenshot Saturday. And they were showing a few things they're working on. And these actually look really good. Here's those fancy walls that the military uses to fill up with sand and make barricades. You've got some quarantine-looking tents, and then a backpack. So it's possible. I don't know if we'll see these in the game. One thing that they're, just like any studio, they have some people who can be working on these assets some folks who work on these assets. And so, Group A, we might not see those assets right away, but they've been created. Group B stuff might have to come out first, and that's what we see. So even though we're getting a sneak peek at stuff to come, we might not see these. We might not see the backpacks right away. We might not see these walls or these new buildings. Hard to say. I could be surprised, and we might see some cool stuff like this out in the world now. But I'm not going to put my money on it. But it gives you an idea of the kind of things they have in mind. Okay, great. We're going to see like these military/quarantine outpost areas, which is very cool. And then the new backpacks. Their current backpacks are okay, but this actually looks more like a backpack. So that will be nice to see in the game. What else we got here? And then on the 26th, 2468, how do we tessellate? Yeah, I don't have a clue. Good luck with that, Richard. Then on the 27th, I think that was Sunday then. So we're adding about 24 new backer names to the TDL, going through all requests for food items, lots more food coming to the Dead Linger. I mean, and I would think that it's not so much how much is in the world, but I think in the diversity of food. We've pretty much have all seen the chips, bananas, corn, cabbage, some canned beans. We've seen it. It's a pretty good diverse amount now. But what's cool is, I'm all for adding more and different types. But what's so cool is with the game is folks that backed the game from the Kickstarter campaign, they're putting those people's names into the game on different items. So like the Leland store, I think, was actually named after some guy named Leland's, and so on and so forth. Some of the different weapons and things are have names of backers or were named by a backer. So that's kind of neat that they're going back to that, and on some of the new assets they're putting in, going to put some more backers' names. I think that's pretty cool. I like that. So it's good to see that they're going back to the backers to show them their support. And then also on Sunday it says, just saw new grass coming in. Can confirm at least 5 survivors will soil themselves when we show some screens this week. It didn't happen. It looks nice, but it wasn't that nice. Then I think this is Monday, the 28th. So today on the Dead Linger, terrain performance tweaks, grass in place, debug garbage collection. So just cleaning up code. So terrain performance. So still just kind of going back to that thought where what's going to improve the game is they improve the performance, optimize terrain, textures, things like that. And then Chaos Pierce, today I've been working on new terrain and grass, so I'm not sure who this guy is. I don't think I've seen him tweet before, but he did put a picture. Now this is just a static picture. It's a lot of grass. Looks good. I was not unhappy with the grass they had before, so it'd be nice to see like a before and after shots would really help maybe put it into better perspective for me, at least, because grass is grass is grass. And on the 28th, Games Unhinged. Yo, what's up, survivors? Come join us as we live stream. So these folks were live streaming. I didn't catch any of the live streams. I play enough on my own. I don't need to watch other people so much. Unless they record like a video. But I don't need to watch people play it live because I'm good. Let's see here. So another guy, this was on, I guess that's 28th Monday, possibly Tuesday was streaming in anticipation for build 14. So some more streamers. And then here's a smaller streamer. So that's nice. Well, I like that. Again, it's anticipation building up for the build, get that support, that community interested in the game. So the more people that come check it out, the better. And then a large, he just put large. So let's see what he put for large. This is the backpack. So this is nice. The image that we showed earlier looked good, but I really like the textures on this backpack. This looks really, really good. The only thing is, like, that might be how it looks in the game. I don't know how it's going to look when you put it on the Survivor, though, because that's something they're still working on, is that third-person view for the objects. Then also on the 29th, we're also redoing the art on the Kickstarter backpack. Oh yeah, this looked cool. That looked pretty high tech. That's a pretty cool backpack. Again, this was something that back if you supported them during the Kickstarter, I think this is one of the stretch goals they had. I think they did have stretch goals. I don't know. We've had some debate. I didn't follow this Kickstarter program at all when it came out. So I didn't even know this game existed until well after it met the Kickstarter goals and went on. And when you go look at the Kickstarter page, you don't see anything that mentions goals. And a lot of times the Kickstarter campaigns, even when they finish, they leave up the stretch goals. But I keep coming back and seeing references to things that would hint at there were some stretch goals or things that you bought at your level. So maybe there weren't stretch goals. Maybe this was just if you donated $50, you get a backpack. I don't know. I'd have to really dig into that, but I'm not, only because I'm past the Kickstarter. But for those who were there at the very, very beginning, you're going to get a very cool backpack. And then the hacker girl on the 29th said our subreddit gets a makeover. So I haven't looked at it, so we'll look at this together. I like to save something. Oh, cool. They've updated the graphics a little bit. Yeah, definitely come and check the Reddit as well. The Reddit has seen a lot more activity, and I think that's from the cons. So there's a lot more folks sharing on the Reddit. Yeah, see, like here's the interview from the Comic Con. So definitely come and check it out. All right, Richard Keene on the 30th. So yeah, we're within the past couple days here. The grass code performance tree system skeleton code place if in place if time. Oh, so again, just more on the big emphasis on trees and grass. I think those were probably some of the big performance hitters. That and the fact that the trees didn't look bad, but they were just horribly implemented. So I'm excited to see that. And then here's a wabbit. So they said we probably would not get a zombie rabbit, but it's quite possible that we might get a rabbit. Now, I haven't read anything yet about the rabbit, if it is actually coming out. I mean, because they've shown pictures of like the Zombull and a boar and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean they're coming in. But again, assets they're working on, and they still got to decide probably how much meat do you get if you shoot it and chop it up. So those are things that could be considered, on the table before they actually put the rabbit in. But it looks nice, and they probably still have to work on animations for it, running, walking, perhaps, things like that. But it's cool. We're going to get some more animals here pretty soon. And then on the 1st, so this is yesterday, there's a review. Now I did go here. I read the review, clicked the link, and it's nice. It's a very forgiving review. It definitely seems to be the kind of review from folks who played it, say, at the con and had things explained to them. It was not written necessarily from someone who's played it for months and sees a lot of the bugs, because it mentions like how cool barricading is, which it is, but it doesn't discuss how bugged it is. So it's a very forgiving review. And the thing is, it's really hard to review a game. What they really should have done was called it, well, they didn't call it a review here. They just looked at it. In the tweet, maybe they should have said more of a preview. It's more of a preview. You can't really review the game until it's out, but you can certainly preview the features. And if you look at it from the point of view of a preview, then actually it's really, really good, because it does highlight the cool features of the game. So I would say it's a preview. And then, coming into last night into the day, pictures of the grass. So again, really, really talking about their grass. I hope this is kind of how the game is going to look. I can't describe it now, but like looking at this here, it seems like less cartoony than how it looks in the actual game. The actual game still kind of has I don't know how to describe it, kind of a cartoon feel to it, but this has not as cartoony look. I don't know how to describe it, but if this is how it's going to look in the game, the fences, grass, trees do look tremendously better. So I can't wait to see some of that. And then the last tweet today: more work on getting 80,000 trees in a scene. Boom! That's a lot of trees. Like I said, they're really fascinated with the trees right now. So I can't wait to see it come out. So I was wrong on when Build 14 or assets for Build 14 would come out. I can't even make a prediction now. I don't have a clue because it's up in the air. But the stuff they got coming out doesn't seem like much because really most of the focus in their tweets has been trees and grass, some new assets that may or may not come out. So don't lose hope. Remember, if you've purchased the game, then you're just in it for the long haul with the rest of us. Enjoy the builds as they come out. Keep coming back. Leave comments. When do you think we're going to start seeing stuff from Build 14? What things are you hoping that you see in Build 14? Don't say barricading, because I've already said barricading might be something they have to fix down the road. But since this was a graphical update, what kind of things are you hoping that they change in the graphics? Survivor outfits, the female character model, share your thoughts. Anyway, have a great weekend, and I'll see everybody later.